Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Inskeep again, and I am reading A Frog and Toad Stories by Arnold Lobel. And this is a book at the library, and it's called Days with Frog and Toad. Now, Frog and Toad are really good friends, and they're together a lot. There are 5 stories in this book, and I am reading 3 of them. The first one I'm going to read to you is called Tomorrow. Toad woke up. "Oh, no," he said. "This house is a mess. I have so much work to do." Frog looked through the window. "Toad, you're right. Your house is a mess." Toad pulled the covers over his head. "I'll do it tomorrow," said Toad. "Today I'm going to take life easy." Frog came into the house. "Toad," said Frog, "your pants and jacket are lying on the floor." "Tomorrow," said Toad from under the covers. "Your kitchen sink is filled with dirty dishes," said Frog. "Tomorrow," said Toad. "There's dust on your chairs." "Tomorrow," said Toad. "Your windows need scrubbing," said Frog. "Your plants need watering." "Tomorrow," cried Toad. "I'll do it tomorrow." He doesn't want to do any work at all. He just wants to be a lazy toad. Frog sat on the edge of his bed. Toad sat on the edge of his bed. "Blah," said Toad. "I feel down in the dumps." "Why?" asked Frog. "I'm thinking about tomorrow. I'm thinking about all the things I'll have to do." "Yes," said Frog, "tomorrow will be a very hard day for you." He's putting off everything to tomorrow, so he's going to have a lot of work to do. "But Frog," said Toad, "if I pick up my pants and jacket right now, then I will not have to pick them up tomorrow, will I?" "No," said Frog, you will not have to pick them up tomorrow." So Toad picked up his clothes. He put them in the closet. "Frog," said Toad, "if I wash my dishes right now, then I will not have to wash them tomorrow, will I?" "No," said Frog, "you will not have to." So Toad washed and dried his dishes and put them in the cupboard. There he is, putting his clothes away and washing his dishes. "Frog," said Toad, "if I dust my chairs and scrub my windows and water my plants right now, then I will not have to do it tomorrow, will I?" "No," said Frog, "you will not have to do any of it." So Toad dusted his chairs, he scrubbed his windows, and he watered his plants. I think he's finally gotten the idea that he needs to do it right away rather than putting it off till tomorrow. "There," said Toad, "I feel better. I'm not in the dumps anymore." "Why?" asked Frog. "Because I've got all my work done. Now I can save tomorrow for something that I really want to do." "What is that?" asked Frog. "Tomorrow," said Toad, "I can just take life easy." So he went back to bed, and he pulled the covers over his head, and he fell asleep. So that was a good ending. He got his work done, and he can take life easy for a while. This next story is called The Kite. Frog and Toad went out to fly a kite. They went to a large meadow where the wind was strong. "Our kite will fly up and up," said Frog. "I will fly all the way up to the top of the sky." "Toad," said Frog, "I will hold the ball of string. You hold the kite and run." So that was their plan. Toad ran across the meadow. He ran as fast as his short legs could carry him. The kite went up in the air. It fell to the ground with a bump. Toad heard laughter. 3 robins were sitting in a bush. "That kite will not fly," said the robins. "You may as well give up." So Toad ran back to Frog. "Frog," said Toad, "this kite will not fly. I give up." He's listening to those robins, and he should be thinking for himself, shouldn't he? "We must make a second try," said Frog. "Wave the kite over your head. Perhaps that will make it fly." So Toad ran back across the meadow. He waved the kite over his head. The kite went up in the air and then fell down with a thud. "What a joke," said the robin. "That kite will never get off the ground." So the robins are teasing him, aren't they? Toad ran back to Frog. "This kite is a joke," he said. "It'll never get off the ground. We have to make a third try," said Frog. "Wave the kite over your head and jump up and down. Perhaps that will make it fly." So Toad ran across the meadow again. He waved the kite over his head. He jumped up and down. The kite went up in the air and crashed down into the grass. "That kite's junk," said the robin. "Throw it away and go home." I wonder if he's going to listen to the robins. robins seem to be bossing him around, and he's listening to them. Toad ran back to Frog. "This kite is junk," he said. "I think we should throw it away and go home." "Toad," said Frog, "we need one more try. Wave the kite over your head, jump up and down, and shout, 'Up, kite, up!'" So Toad ran across the meadow. He waved the kite over his head. He jumped up and down and shouted, "Up, kite, up!" The kite flew in the air, and it climbed higher and higher. Well, finally, he's getting it to work. "We did it," cried Toad. "Yes," said Frog. "If a running try did not work, and a running and a waving try did not work, and a running, waving, and jumping try did not work, I knew that a running, waving, jumping, and shouting try just had to work." The robins flew out of the bush, but they could not fly as high as the kite. Frog and Toad sat and watched their kite. It seemed to be flying way up at the top of the sky. So the lesson in this story is don't let other people tell you you can't do something when you want to and when you know you can. Okay, the last story I'm going to read you is called The Hat. On Toad's birthday, Frog gave him a hat. Toad was delighted. "Happy birthday," said Frog. Toad put on the hat. It fell down over his eyes. "I'm sorry," said Frog. "That hat is much too big for you. I'll give you something else." "Nope," said Toad. "This hat is your present to me. I like it. I'll wear it just like it is." Boy, they are nice friends to each other, that's for sure. That night when Toad went to bed, he thought the biggest thoughts that he could think. Toad thought about giant sunflowers. He thought about tall oak trees. He thought about high mountains covered with snow. Then Toad fell asleep. Frog came into Toad's house. He came in very quietly. Frog found the hat and took it to his house. I wonder what's going to happen. Frog poured some water on the hat. He put the hat in a warm place to dry. It began to shrink. The hat grew smaller and smaller. Frog went back to Toad's house. Toad was still fast asleep. He put the hat back on the hook where he found it. When Toad woke up the next morning, he put the hat on his head. It was just the right size. Boy, Frog is a nice friend to Toad. Now the hat fits. Toad ran to Frog's house. "Frog, Frog," he cried, "all those big thoughts have made my head much larger. Now I can wear your present." And Frog and Toad went for a walk. Toad did not trip over a rock. He did not bump into a tree. He did not fall into a hole. It turned out to be a very pleasant day after Toad's birthday. So that was a nice solution to the problem. Okay, the last two stories are called Shivers and Alone. So if you like the stories in this book, you should come to the library and check out Days with Frog and Toad. I think there's 4 books altogether that Arnold Lowbrow wrote about those friends. So anyway, it kind of will tell you how to be a good friend too. So I hope you've enjoyed these stories, and I enjoyed reading them to you. Thank you.